It's a Wednesday edition of the Hoffman Show here on the Team 980. Always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. It's a busy show today with a lot going on. 1 week until the NBA draft, the WNBA, more controversy around Caitlin Clark, and this time she's not faultless. So we're going to talk about that coming up in just a few minutes, including taking your calls. We'll get to some NBA draft discussion later on in the show. As I just said, that's a week away. So there's a lot going on. Also, this is our last show before the NBA Finals Game 6. Tomorrow we are off for Juneteenth. Friday we will be back to review Game 6, but we'll preview it before we go. We start, though, with the Nationals, who have lost 10 straight games. I was doing a podcast earlier with our guy, Louis T. A fun show. I've done his summer series 2 years in a row. It's a really fun bit. And I was joking about, at the end of the show, he's like, hey, tell everyone where you can find your stuff and whatever. And I was like, we talk Commanders a lot on the show. But today we're going to be talking about the Nationals. And I don't know if they want us to actually do that. So for anyone in the Nationals organization that was like, man, I wish that afternoon show on 980 would talk about us more. Careful what you wish for. Your team's lost 10 straight, the last 5 of which are to the 2 worst teams in the National League. And the Marlins are actually, now, thanks to the sweep of Washington over the weekend, living in the same neighborhood as the Nationals, which is, I guess, fine, but is what it is. The Rockies are a different category. The Rockies have won, the Nationals aren't good. To understand how bad the Rockies are, take the Nationals win total and essentially divide it in half. They stink. They fired their manager weeks ago. They were so bad in a year where they knew they were going to be bad. And not only have you now lost 5 straight to the 2 worst teams in the National League, but you had the very controversial comments over the weekend where Davey Martinez was like, it's all on the players. It's not on the coaches. So things are not swell in Nationals land, to say the least. So the question is, what do we do with that information? Well, first, let's hear with the guy with actual decision-making power. That's Mike Rizzo, who had his weekly appearance on the Sports Junkies here on the Team 980 this morning and had this to say about Davey Martinez's comments about it being all on the players.
Here's my take on that. It's, Dave Martinez is as player-friendly managers I've ever had. He and Dusty Baker, to me, run the clubhouse like no one else I've ever had in my career. So when you talk about, one of the, player managers in the league, Davey's one of them. This guy does 500, 600 interviews a year. He does 2 a day, pregame, postgame, every time. And, he's flawless, but, he got caught in a frustrating, angry, we were 6 or 7, 8 in a row at that time. And got caught in a frustrated moment and kind of lashed out. And, I think it was out of frustration. Here's my take on that situation. There's onus on the players, there's onus on the coaches, there's onus on the manager, and there's a great onus on the general manager to do a better job. We all got to look in the mirror. You lose 10 games in a row. You said at the beginning, it's hard to lose 10 games in a row. I've never lost 10 games in a row. I'm just my 43rd year in professional baseball. I've never lost 10 in a row. It's tough.
I love that answer, honestly, from Mike Rizzo, because he's right on all the things. And I said this in response to the comments this weekend. I thought they were pitifully bad. In a vacuum, what he said is inexcusable in that it belies what it means to be a coach. And amidst struggles, everybody needs to look in the mirror. And if you think it's on the players, your job as a coach is to figure out how you get the players to do the thing you want. That is literally what it means, which is why it bothered me. But I also said baseball managers talk a stupid amount. They do pregame, they do postgame for 162. They also give additional interviews and press conferences. And I don't know if it's 600 interviews a year. That is ridiculous. That would be 2 a day for 300 days a year. And they don't do that. They get more than that in terms of time off. But it might be, 400 interviews that Davey Martinez does between, side chats with reporters to podcasts to radio shows to the press conferences that we just said he does 2 a day of. Like, he gives a lot of interviews, and if he has a moment of human weakness where his frustration gets the better of him, I'm not going to hold that against him long term. However, losing 10 straight for the first time in your 43-year professional baseball career is a pretty big deal, and the team is going very clearly in the wrong direction as you're trying to add talent, as you're trying to incubate talent, and that is something that needs to be seriously considered, and that is cause for a lot of fans, including some vocal ones at last night's game who were chanting "Fire Davey," to want exactly that. Here's Mike Rizzo, predictably, as he is the general manager who has not fired the manager yet, defending his manager.
Pittsburgh hasn't won a World Series since we are family. Colorado's never won a World Series, and Baltimore. Davey Johnson was the last guy who won a World Series with Baltimore. This guy is proven through trials and tribulations that he can handle a roster. He can handle a veteran-laden team, and he's developing at the big league level. And
okay,
my track record is I have fired managers in mid-season. I fired managers after season. I fired coaches mid-season. I fired coaches after the season. We're all being evaluated. We all got to look ourselves in the mirror. But and we are at a point right now where we're moving forward with our development of these young kids. I think Davey still has the pulse of the clubhouse. He's a great clubhouse presence, and he's a calming presence. And I think that once we get through this thing and win a couple of games, which we will, that we can right the ship and continue progressing towards winning a championship, whenever that is.
Ah, yes, the old whenever that is. And look, if all the things that Rizzo just said are true, then it's fine that Davey stays. If he truly does have the pulse of the clubhouse, which is the most important thing, have you lost the room? If you still got the room, we got hope. If you lost the room, time to go. And sometimes it's not about your skill. It's just you need a new voice. He's been there a long time, and a new voice could come in and say the same things, and it hits different. That's life. That is leadership, especially in the high kind of pressure environments that exist in pro sports. But my question would be, what evidence do we have of Davey? Like, yes, he was great with the veteran team and helped win a World Series. But ever since, as the team has gotten younger and younger, what evidence do we have here that he is the right guy to lead this team forward and get the player development that we want when we've seen so many players not develop under his watch? Remember, that was one of the big gripes of the Rosenthal piece a couple of weeks ago, was not just that they failed to draft well, but it's that guys that people thought were going to be pretty good players didn't develop under the Nationals' watch, Victor Robles being the chief amongst them. And why is that? Is that a Davey thing? Is that a minor league thing? Is that a system thing? But I struggle with the data points of the young players that have really picked it up and played well at the major league level under Davey's watch. So last but not least, or two more real quick here as we continue to our start here of the Hoffman Show on a Wednesday. First, specifically to the fans who want Davey out, Rizzo's response.
You guys had Davey out the door in 19 too. I mean, so your station, every other station wanted him fired. The coaches fired, the GM fired, the owners sell the team. Same. It's the same thing. It's built on frustration, and I get it. Fans are fans. They root for their team. They want their team. They want to be proud of their team. They want to, they want the team to perform well. So, because it's their team. Believe me, we all feel that. But I'm looking at the big picture of an entirety of a season. And we're in June 17th or 18th, and we've got 3.5 months of baseball left. And 10 days ago we were 30 and 32, and our whole discussion and narrative was different.
Totally. Yeah.
And we're hopefully in 10 days from now, I'm back here on a Wednesday, and we're talking about wow, we really turned things around.
Lord willing, because he is right, and like this is good Mike Rizzo. Right, we've played some clips from Rizzo in the past where you're like, oh, really, guy? And sometimes you're in a tough spot as a GM, and you just kind of got to eat it, and you're going to have to give an unsatisfying answer. But this one, I mean, it's unsatisfying, but it's also correct. Like in 2019, the whole deal with the Nationals were they weren't very good in June, and then they were the best team in baseball all the way through winning the World Series. So what do you do with that information? Well, it's June, so you probably go, hey, maybe you can do that. Not that they're going to win a World Series this year, but like the idea that he can, he's lost the clubhouse because of the results in June. Well, we do have evidence to that, to the contrary, and it is a long view. That is ultimately what Rizzo's job is to ignore the noise, not give takes beyond like this is where we are, and we're all working to get better, and play the long game. And you have to be able to have some short-term vision of the long game. You have to be able to see that there's some bumps in the road ahead, and just how many bumps are out there. But I don't think that's an unreasonable answer from Mike Rizzo. Last one I want to play real quick, just this 10-game losing streak, because this is the kind of thing that does get him, like, especially if they get swept back-to-back by the Marlins and the Rockies, that's the kind of thing that gets a manager fired. So where are we at right now on this 10-game losing streak? Last clip here for Mike Rizzo's appearance on the Sports Junkies this morning.
We're all very frustrated with it. We're all concerned with it, and we have to play better. And we work as everything we do here is a team. I'm responsible for everything that goes on in baseball. So the good and the bad, and the 10-game losing streak. That's my team that I put out there, and it's. I take responsibility for the successes and the failures of this franchise, and I think that's what leaders do, and I will continue to do that, and we'll continue to strive for to put the best product on the field that the DC people could be proud of.
For the full interview on the Sports Junkies with Mike Rizzo, search the Junks podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up here on the Hoffman Show, we will continue to discuss this, which is our lead story of the day. But the other big story in the world of sports today is the latest kerfuffle, in this case, a true scuffle in the WNBA. There's breaking news on suspensions around what happened with the Fever and Sun and Caitlin Clark last night. We'll give you the news, reaction, and some analysis next here on the Team 980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too, at the Team 980. So there's 6 games of the WNBA last night. A lot of really great action, some really dominant performances. Seattle was fantastic in their big win. What else did we have last night? Dream Liberty was an excellent game that came down to the wire. Liberty get the win over Atlanta, who's playing really, really well. But ultimately, Sabrina Ionescu's got 2 straight 34-point games. She is on fire this season. So there's a lot of good hoop last night. The Mystics, who we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show, had an abysmal first quarter, but bounced back thanks to 32 points from Brittany Sykes, and they ultimately beat Chicago. By the way, Slim is going to join the show on Friday, and you should definitely vote for her for All-Star because she is playing exceptional. But that's not what we get to talk about because we got more crapola, more scuffles, more fights, and it involves Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark and J.C. Sheldon have been longtime rivals. The former Iowa guard, of course, Clark, facing off against the former Ohio State guard. They got into it a couple times in the Big Ten. And last night, there's some pushing and shoving. The game's getting pretty physical. And then at a point, there's a play where Clark comes off a screen. Sheldon's playing really tough defense, tries to swipe at the ball, misses, pokes Clark in the eye. 100% foul, bad job by Sheldon. Clark reacts. Sheldon kind of comes into her too, and Clark pushes her away. And even that, I don't mind. It's a human reaction. You just got poked in the eye. Caitlin does seem to think she's not allowed to get touched, which is, maybe previewing some of the potential problems here. But then when she shoves Sheldon, Tina Charles comes in and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And Marina Mabry, who suffers absolutely no fools, comes in, gives Clark a nice, solid shoulder, and Caitlin crumbles to the ground like a featherweight. And there's yelling, there's finger pointing. Caitlin's just like, I got poked in the eye. Can people leave me alone? And ultimately, you get a tech on Clark for the shove on Sheldon. You get a tech on Mabry. You get a tech on, I think, Tina, and I think one on Sheldon. And then things really spill out of control later in the game as first, Clark hits a 3 in Sheldon's eyeball. You hit me in the eye. You poked me in the eye, literally. I'm going to poke you in the eye, proverbially. And then is yelling at her. You like that. Gets her Kirk Cousins on. Does a big old, 30 seconds worth of celebrating with the crowd, but in a way that's honestly pretty obnoxious. And then with 70 seconds left in the game, Sheldon's on a fast break. The Fever are up 20. And Sophie Cunningham, who has appointed herself Caitlin Clark bodyguard, just absolutely tackles JC Sheldon in what is a dangerous play that would 1,000% start a fight and get you thrown out of the playground. Sophie Cunningham would not be allowed to play again in that park. Like, that was BS. And it was dangerous. And we learned just about an hour ago through ESPN, Alexa Philippou, their women's basketball reporter, reporting that there are going to be no suspensions from this. And I want to start there very quickly and then work our way backwards and get into Clark and get into the whole deal. Not suspending Sophie Cunningham is effing ridiculous by the WNBA. And it sets a very dangerous standard. Because if this were to happen tomorrow night in the NBA Finals, and I don't mean to go NBA, WNBA here, just that I'm doing it for timing proximity. Let's even take it. If that same play happens, if Sophie Cunningham tackles Sabrina Ionescu in the WNBA Finals when that rolls around in October, and there's 70 seconds left and it's a 2-point game, is it kind of a dirty foul? Maybe, but at the end of the day, if it's that or a layup with the WNBA Finals on the line, it's the kind of thing that people just go, yeah, sorry, it's a hard playoff foul. And they get up and they go, hey, I didn't like that, but I get it. Thanks for not hurting me. And you hope that doesn't happen, because the way that Cunningham committed this foul could have seriously hurt Sheldon. And to do it up 20 with 70 seconds to go in a game is so Bush League, is so amateur hour, is so against the spirit of competition. And it's frankly, like, this is the thing about the W, is like, there's an element of sisterhood in that league. And it just is. And people can be like, man, that's stupid. Like, they compete. Like, yeah, they're allowed to compete, and they try to kill each other. Like, this is the same person who told you, as someone who's been watching this league for years, like, this league is way more physical than the NBA. But there's still a respect in it. And that's what it means to compete, is the definition of competition is to say, I'm going to give you my very best, and I want you to give me your very best, and I'm going to beat you. But there is a healthy respect that goes into that. And Cunningham just completely threw that out the window, thought she was, quote unquote, protecting her teammate. But at that point, Clark's on the bench. There's no protecting. JC Sheldon is going in for a layup. Just let her take it. Who cares? You're up 20. Finish the game. You got the last laugh. You're up 20. You're better. The Connecticut Sun stink this season. They're the worst team in the league. You're competing for a championship. What are you doing? And for the league to then sign off on that, they gave Cunningham a slight, like, she got a flagrant 2, as she deserved. And that comes with a standard fine. She got an additional fine as well. But to not suspend her at least for a game, if not multiple, is a joke by the commissioner's office. A joke. That is a period, end of sentence, new paragraph. In fact, new chapter. Which in some ways is an old chapter. I have been such a fan of Caitlin Clark since I started watching her play basketball. And the reason why is she plays a joyous style that reminds me of my favorite player to watch over the last 2 decades, which is Stephen Curry. And there's the obvious similarities in their game in terms of the step-back threes, the creative shot making, the passing ability. And I think there's elements of Clark's game that are even better than Curry's. Like, I think Clark is a better passer. Caitlin Clark might be the best passer in basketball. And I thoroughly enjoy that. As someone who enjoys that part of the game, I enjoyed doing it to the level I did it as a player. Like, it was something that I got a lot of joy out of when I play basketball. I love making a great pass. And it's something that I thoroughly enjoy watching and have a huge appreciation for. My own that is a personal aesthetic choice of the kind of basketball I like. Caitlin Clark, the passes she makes, it might be my favorite single thing in the sport. She also had the joyous warrior spirit. Warrior, no pun intended. That's kind of what Steve Kerr would call it with Steph, right? It's not because they are the Warriors, like, it's the term, right? But the joyous but still highly competitive nature of those two players. There was a lot of crossover there. But Caitlyn has left that realm at this point. And it doesn't seem like there's any of the joy, and it's just pure competitiveness. But it doesn't seem authentic or real. And if it is, you're kind of an asshole. And I don't really enjoy watching that. And again, some people might be like, no, that's the best. It's the fire. I'm not saying she can't compete. I'm not saying she can't be fiery. But for the same reason that I thought it was pretty weak for Angel Reese to stick her, ring finger in Caitlyn's face and like go at her in that way when LSU won the title over Iowa in 2023. I think it's ridiculous that Caitlyn doing some of the stuff that she's doing. It's over the top. It's unsportsmanlike. And I don't expect, just to be clear, like, I got a pretty long leash on what I will allow competitors. Like, before I'm like, yeah, that was too far. And there's even like a gray area where I'm like, I didn't love it, but like, it is what it is. Which is kind of where, like, the very edge of that gray area is kind of where I was with Reese, in part because Angel was like 21 years old or 20 years old at the time. And it's like all the stuff that she got lobbed at her going into that game, I get it. I was like, you want to know what? It's not what I would be like, Angel, do that if you win, but I get it. But I didn't love, like, as an act in a vacuum, I didn't love it. And so for Clark last night, telling J.C. Sheldon at some point, like, I'll do whatever I want. Going up to the crowd and giving them the what for. It's one thing to do it in like an authentic moment. We've seen Steph do it, LeBron do it. We've seen all, John Wall jumping on the table in a playoff series. I love all that stuff. But like, you're doing it for 30 seconds into the timeout on a literal Tuesday in June? Like, chill. What are we doing? And and then her reaction to some of the contact this season, where I think that what bothers me about it is there's this narrative amongst the worst people that Clark is bigger than the game. And like, this is where rubber meets road. There's a narrative by some people that think Caitlin Clark is bigger than the game, the sport, the league, than everything. That how the WNBA's got to protect their golden goose. Every other player should lay down at Clark's feet because she's the one making the money and she's the one generating the revenue. And that's ridiculous. This league was on the up and up before Caitlyn got here. She was an accelerant on an already burning fire. There is no doubt she's the biggest star on the sport, the biggest draw in the sport. I'm not taking away anything about her stardom or her as a player. But you're not bigger than the sport. You're not bigger than the league. And it feels like she is starting to believe that hype. And at the very least, she is acting in a way that makes me feel like she is believing that hype. And that is a bad thing. And eventually it's going to catch up to her. Because she's not bigger than the sport. Gravity is real. And whether it's losing big games or not getting calls she wants, she's going to have to be able to handle that. And I think the other part of this is, to me, you don't get the fame, the fortune, the attention, all the positives that come with it. Maybe some of those aren't even all positive, right? Sometimes attention's not always great. But you don't get the positives, whatever those are, of being Caitlin Clark without the responsibility of also being Caitlin Clark. And that is where she is failing her colleagues in the league. When she got started and it was early and she was young, and she still is, and I'm hoping she can, get some good voices in her ear and turn this around. But it was easier to say, like, hey, she's young and she's hopefully going to learn. I'm not going to say that she has no responsibility here, but I'm willing to reserve judgment as she shows us who she is based off of how she reacts when someone fouls her and there's death threats and it's like, hey, what are you going to say about this? And ultimately, she said milquetoast versions of the right thing, but she'd ultimately mostly say the right thing. And the fact that Caitlyn has still not seemed to grow in understanding her own place in the discourse, I find frustrating. It's not hard to be thoughtful if you spend time thinking. And the way she acted at the press conference last night, where there was this just unbridled arrogance to, I want to talk about basketball. Like, sorry, you were involved in a scuffle. Every player that's involved in a scuffle always gets asked about the scuffle. That's part of the gig. And you can just say, it was a basketball play. I obviously don't love getting poked in the eye. And, people reacted. It is what it is. But, it was a basketball play. That's all I really got to say. Which she's done a bunch of times. And, if she does that, it is what it is. And I probably am like, okay, it was a basketball play. But the arrogance with which she seems to be carrying herself right now, to me, feels like she is flying too close to the sun. And I don't want that for Caitlin Clark, to be clear. I'm saying that not because I don't like her, because I do. Because I am an enormous fan of her game. I'm an enormous fan of what she's done for the game. The way she inspires little girls, little boys, the way she's helped grow the game. The crown is heavy for her. And I have respect for that. But she's got to have respect for it too. And so my hope is that Stephanie White, her head coach, who seems to be more interested in enabling this behavior right now, or at least last night, than she was in stopping it, that mentors of Caitlin's, I'll say a couple names, but it is not the responsibility of these people, to be clear. I hope that one of them takes it upon themselves because I think it's good for the game. Whether it's Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, LeBron James, calls her up and says, hey, I would actually love if it was LeBron. Because LeBron, when he went to Miami, embraced a villain role and then was like, actually, I hated that. I'm going to go back to being the happy-go-lucky guy. And it was better for his life and career. I would love LeBron to call Caitlin and be like, hey, I know you're competitive. I am too. I understand. I almost uniquely, if I'm LeBron James, understand the kind of pressure that she's under. LeBron has gone 20 years without slipping up. Caitlin's not going to make it too. And so whether it's a LeBron, a Sue, one of her teammates, whether it's Diana Taurasi, whether it's whoever, I hope someone gets to Caitlin and says, hey, your competitiveness is part of what makes you special. But when the game's over, it's got to end. In the press conferences, when we speak publicly, we have to do better than this. And that when we're on the court, we're playing basketball, we're not entitled to anything. Because entitled, spoiled, whatever, ain't going to fly in this league. It's not going to work from a basketball standpoint, and it's going to turn the marketability of her down significantly. And she's going to look around and be like, I don't really like the company I'm keeping right now. And so she's young. We're early. It's year 2. But I sincerely hope that the path that we seem to be on right now was just a small detour to everyone loving Caitlin Clark, the great basketball player who's a great ambassador for the game and someone that, all the kids that look up to her have a good role model in, versus someone who starts to believe her own hype in a bad way, someone who comes across as spoiled and entitled, and someone who, for lack of a better way to put it, sees herself as above the game. Because that's what last night was giving. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. We'll take your calls next on The Hoffman Show. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. We're talking about the WNBA drama last night. Fever and Sun. Caitlin Clark poked in the eye. She shoves J.C. Sheldon. Marina Mabry shoves her. Later in the game, Sophie Cunningham tackles J.C. Sheldon on a fast break, receives a flagrant 2. Not going to get suspended. And there's two parts of this that I think are interesting. There's the no suspension part, which I think is a just ghastly mistake by the WNBA. But there's also kind of the way that Clark's been acting this season. A little bit more arrogance, a little bit more, seems to feel like she can't be touched. And I don't think that's actually a good thing. It's taken away some of the joy of watching her play basketball for me. What do you think? 301-230-0980. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show.
Hey, how you doing, Craig?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you calling.
I have a comment about the Caitlin Clark situation, but first I have to answer the question from yesterday. Okay, it's Tyler Biotic is the most important commander not named Jaden Daniels. Okay, I'm surprised he didn't even get an honorable mention. Okay, I'll explain that later. But anyway, in terms of Caitlin Clark, I agree with just about everything you said. I think there should have been a suspension, but like I was telling Anthony, Caitlin Clark has a very high level of athletic arrogance, and that's okay for a player of her quality, but you have to realize when she first came to the league, she got bounced around like she was in a pinball machine from day one, okay? And it's got to the point where she's kind of tired of that now, okay? Her reaction is based on that, okay? Ever since she's been in the league, they've treated her like that. Now, whether you agree with how she reacts now is one thing, but, she has really taken a beating and no other player in the league has taken. And I just think it's a reaction to that. I just think she's just kind of tired of it. That's
Kurt, can I ask you an honest question? How much of the rest of the league do you watch?
I don't watch the league that much, but I do know that players had it in for her. Okay, and the narrative at first was like it was racially motivated at first. They were saying, the black players always banging her around. Well, that narrative got killed yesterday.
I did have a nice chuckle of the fact that this is a scuffle involving 4 white players and that a lot of the bad actors in this, I was like, wow, your brains are really going to break on picking sides here, huh?
Right. That killed that narrative. But still, the other narrative, though, the main narrative is true, though. There have been times when she runs down the court and somebody just blatantly runs into her and knocks her down, when she's running down the court for no reason, and she didn't even have the ball. You know what I mean? It's those kind of things that they add up, and I just think she's a little tired of that. And she has, like I said, she has that high level of athletic arrogance, and she should have it. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, let them play. I think she understands physical play from dirty play, and she's gotten a lot of dirty play from day one.
Yeah,
now, you would have to agree with that, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't. I think there is a line between like people that have had dirty plays on her versus people that have been physical. The Kennedy Carter foul last year, I thought, crossed the line. I think some of the other stuff, like Dejanay Carrington accidentally poked her in the eye. J.C. Sheldon, like, they're physical with her,
right.
But J.C. Sheldon's play last night, like, it was an accident. And I don't think that J.C. knew it. So, like, the interaction was caused by the fact that Caitlin got hit in the eye, was pissed, like, rightfully so. Right. She got poked in the eye. JC was like, what's the deal? And Caitlin's like, you poked me in the eye. Like, and so there's,
now,
I just
you play pickup basketball. Okay?
Right.
If somebody poked you in the eye, you were that was a reaction.
Totally. And like, there was a play the other night. Oh God, who was the player? It was Bria Hartley, I believe, accidentally pulled Angel Reese's hair. And it was like Angel's got these ridiculously long, and I say ridiculously long as a descriptor, not as in it's ridiculous. It's her choice. She can do whatever she wants. Angel's look is working quite well for her on the corporate sector. So like more power to her. But like she got very, very long braids right now. And Bria Hartley accidentally grabbed one, and Angel freaked out because she got her hair pulled and she was pissed. And like I get it, but like Bria's whole body language was like, I didn't mean to. I'm really, really sorry. And it relatively quickly de-escalated the situation. That didn't happen
Right.
last night. And I think the other part about the Cunningham situation is Sophie was looking for a fight. Like, if that happens in a game late, like there was a really hard foul late in one of the NBA Finals games the other day, and there was kind of this like, yo, that wasn't great, but like I get it because of the situation, because it was a close game late. Cunningham tackles Sheldon and then is like, it's on, let's go, because she clearly wanted to try to send a message. And I think the other part of this is
100%.
the officiating is obviously not good enough in this league. I've talked about that forever. Stephanie White, the Fever head coach, talked about that after the game. I guess my only thing, Kurt, where I think we probably what I would call a fair disagreement is there is a line that you can cross with athletic arrogance. Even as great as you are, that doesn't entitle you to be a jerk. It doesn't entitle you to kind of, suck as a person. And I don't know that Caitlin's quite crossed that line yet, but she's a lot closer than she was a year ago. And I get the frustration, I get the physicality, but like the reason I asked if you how much else of the league you watch, like Jaden Melbourne of the Mystics got trashed last night. She was getting thrown all over the damn place. Brittany Sykes, she's a multiple year vet. She dropped 32 last night. She's getting shoved in the back. There's no calls. It's ridiculous some of the stuff that this league is dealing with. And so I actually don't know how much worse it is for Clark in terms of pure physicality than anybody else. I just know the receiving end that she gets is talked about a lot more.
Yeah. She came in the league with a lot of hype. And when she first came in the league, she didn't act like that. That's what I'm saying. It's a cumulative effect of all those times, every game. You've mentioned some isolated situations. But with Clark, it's like that almost every game. Okay, so it's like at some point she's just like, okay, enough is enough. Okay, and that's her reaction to that. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and to me, it's part on the officials, but it's also part on her to just be like, fine, this is the way it is in this league. Kurt, I'm going to let you go because I want to actually play a soundbite that we've been sitting on for a couple of days, and I think folks will find this interesting, but appreciate the call. We've had this sitting in the Real Things folder for a couple of days, and I actually think it's relevant to the conversation here. D'Angelo Russell was on a podcast earlier this weekend. I don't know when this came out. And he was asked about Steph Curry and playing with him. And this, to me, is like why Steph is a top 10 player of all time. Is because, much like Clark, he's been roughed up. Like, people try to get physical with him. And unlike a lot of other players who have been in that scenario, Steph was like, let's just say Steph took a different approach than many stars.
Steph don't do that at all. Steph plays the game with this I don't need the refs mentality. And when you look around the league, like, who's doing that? That's why he gets so much credit. That's why he's my favorite player. I know he's yours too, but like that's why I respect him so much. When he broke it down to me like that, I was just like, bro, that's powerful. Because you watch everybody find a way. And then Shea's mentality, like the way he floats and like, I mean, I saw it during the Olympics. Like when there was a bad call or a travel that wasn't a travel, or in the Olympics is definitely a different officiated game. And the way he just never let it affect him, I saw his mental there. That exposed how he thinks to me. And then you see a guy like Steph and the way Drake put that, it just made it just didn't seem close.
I don't think there's a better mentor out there for Caitlin Clark than Stephen Curry. And that's kind of where I come down on it. Is it nice for Steph that he's got Draymond? Yes. Is Sophie Cunningham Draymond? No, even though Sophie Cunningham thinks she's Draymond. But there's a way you can stand up for your guy without ridiculous, cheap fouls late in games. Or in this case, your girl, with ridiculous, cheap fouls late in games. Caitlin's going to have to deal with physicality for her entire career. She's too quick. She's too fast. She's too good of a shooter. Teams are going to try to get physical with her. And by the way, they try to do it because it's a way to potentially knock her out of the game mentally. Now, last night it backfired. It's a pretty sharp double-edged sword. And if you get her going, good luck. Lights out. She dropped another great shooting night, hit 4 threes again. And that's after she hit like a career-high 7 over the weekend. So firing up a competitor like that, there is a little bit of, I think there's a lot, frankly, of Michael Jordan mentality to her. Like, I took that personally. So it's risky, but ultimately, she's just going to have to go, fine. You want to push me around. I'm going to channel it into my game. I'm going to let you hear about it a little bit. But there is still something to Steph where he never has lost the joy. And this is a guy that has authentically lost his mind sometimes. When he's screaming at the Boston bench in 2022, you've won your last game this finals. Like, that dude's different. And I think Caitlin can become that. But part of that is saving it for the right moments, understanding how to be in the moment and not losing yourself to the moment. And I still think as a young player, like, that's what happened last night, and I'm hoping that is not the norm and she has more control over that in the future. It will, I think, suit her better, and it will be much more enjoyable to watch for all of us. All right, thanks for the calls on that. We also have enormous breaking news that just happened. We're going to talk to Byron Kerr for a few minutes next on the Nationals, but Anthony, have you seen the Lakers news?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Shams Charania reporting for ESPN that the Buss family is entering an agreement to sell majority ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter, the CEO and chairman of diversified holding company TWG Global, sources tell ESPN. Jeannie Buss will continue to serve in her role as governor after the sale. So we're going to try to get some more info on that. That is an enormous. I need to spend some time thinking about just like how many repercussions that has for the NBA, for LeBron, et cetera, as that news breaks. So we'll get to that later on in the show as well. Also, Never Read the Comments coming up at 5:30 as we're off tomorrow. We're going to give you a Wednesday edition of that. So lots still to come here on the Team 980. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980, even though I just disappeared off the screen on YouTube. Got a double screen action today. Got stuff going on this other computer, and so sometimes you get the side of my head. I don't know what to tell you. All right, it's 5 o'clock. We got a lot of stuff happening, but there is no bigger story in the district than what is going on with the Nationals. And so with that, it is time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
Our old pal Byron Kerr is with us, a longtime contributor to 106.7 The Fan, a Nationals insider. He's a journalist. He writes for MLB.com. He does all kinds of stuff, and especially in the world of baseball. Byron, good to talk, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Craig. Great to be with you again. How you doing?
I am doing well, and I'll be doing better once you can explain to me what on earth is happening with the Washington Nationals. There's a lot to get into here. Let's start off on the field, Byron, just very simply. This 10-game losing streak, what are the Nationals not doing that they were doing 2 weeks prior, or for the 2 weeks prior, when they had gotten themselves within 2 games of 500, again, just 2 weeks ago?
It's been a struggle offensively. Last night they did score 6 runs, but that's because they scored 4 in the ninth. And, since that Seattle and Arizona series that you're talking about, where they were scoring 9 runs every single game, you're like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. They have absolutely struggled to generate some offense. They've moved C.J. Abrams around. James Wood has been outstanding. He is very good. Luis Garcia Jr. has been pretty good as well. But, Josh Bell hasn't done nothing pretty much from the DH role. His batting average with balls in play is 196. That's the worst, Craig, of his career. And they just don't have a thump in the lineup besides James Wood. Nathaniel Lowe did get a home run late last night. But there's just not much charge in this offense. That's why Brady House is here, and that's why they tried to do some different things. Keibert Ruiz has absolutely struggled this year offensively. He's already down in the 8 hole now. Jacob Young is going to get on base, but he's not going to provide power for you. So there just isn't much electricity to this lineup, and that's been a huge part of why they have struggled in June.
So when asked about it this weekend, now infamously, Davey Martinez said, well, the players got to play, basically. And, he tried to clarify those remarks, and he said it clearly out of frustration, said it's all on the players. But is it that simple? Like, if we're taking the controversy of the comments out of it, like, are these guys in the right positions? Are the coaches putting them in positions to succeed, and they're just not doing it? Is this just baseball? Like, why do we think this is happening if there is a reason to be had?
I mean, there's, you put it right there, is that, they're putting these players in the positions to succeed, but it's not working out. And you notice a lot when you watch the Nationals, there's first pitch swinging. They go after counts early on. And, I was in the Colorado clubhouse after the game, and Senza, their pitcher Antonio Senzabellis, was talking about they knew that the Nationals were going to be aggressive early on, so they had to be very careful with the first few pitches in each at bat. That's something that the Nationals are kind of known for, is going after pitches in the count early, and sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. And when you get into these frustration situations, and what Davey kind of alluded to this week is that guys are trying to do too much. And when you try to do too much, you kind of force the issue and try to accelerate the offense a little bit early in counts. And you go after some bad pitches and you ground out, or you pop up, or you just don't get enough of each at bat. And that's happened way too many times for this team. It's a young team. There are a lot of young and moving parts and excitement, with the young guys coming up. But the mixture of veterans and young guys is not working out, so far in the last few weeks. And it's a struggle. They just cannot seem to find a good consistency offensively. And, with as bad as the relief pitching has been, I think the starters have had their moments. Mitchell Parker has lost 4 in a row, and he's trying to change that tonight. But, the bullpen has been so bad that they haven't been able to, secure leads early in games, and then it becomes a big mess, as it did last night with Cole Henry and the 4 homers in the 6th inning. So with the relief pitching not being great and the offense not scoring runs, they haven't been able to hold on late in games and win those games when they're close. And absolutely, they need more punch offensively, but it's not just the offense, right? They've got some other issues.
Byron Kerr with us here on the Hoffman Show. So then we get to the manager, because like if we're just adults about it, Byron, like if they were to get swept by the Rockies after being swept by the Marlins, that is the kind of thing that costs a manager his job in Major League Baseball. It's the kind of thing that loses your job in other sports, whatever that equivalent is. Do we think that Davey is in legitimate trouble here, though, especially after we heard Rizzo this morning on the Junkies be like, hey, we all got to do better, and kind of give the diplomatic, even if it is correct, answer?
Yeah, they're kind of a two-party in this, right? It's Rizzo and Davey together. They're going to protect each other. They were here when they won the World Championship, and they have set the tone since then. And what Davey said the other night, obviously, as you just mentioned, Craig, it's out of frustration. And, one of the cardinal sins you can make in those situations when you're asked a question like that is to move the way he did. So many times you just have to bite your tongue and you have to say, you know what, I'm going to do a better job. Our coaches are going to do a better job. We're going to put these guys in the position to win. But, it was in the middle of a 7, 8, 9, 10-game losing streak, and frustration got to Davey, and he got protective of the coaching staff that he put together. These are all of his guys that he moved in over the last 5, 6 years since they won the championship, and he's protecting them. And that's what he probably meant to say in that situation. But it came off as, hey, coaches coach, players have to hit, or players have to pitch. And, it comes off in the wrong way. And it's so difficult in any sport, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, but you have to fall on the sword if you're the coach. And that's easy for me to say, Craig, talking to you, because he's had to live this through, almost, 100 games. And, it just came out the wrong way. And, yeah, that's why you're seeing, Rizzo protect him, because I think they're a package deal. I think they're protected, with each other. I don't know how far the learners will go, or how far the front office will go to try to push this, because you're right. Other teams have fired their managers for less already this season. And the easiest way to shake things up is to fire the manager. The easiest way to get these young guys, maybe to get their attention, is to get a good new guy in charge and say, okay, we need to have a different voice. We need to have a different way to try to go out there and win games. And, Davey's done a lot of great things. He is an outstanding manager in so many respects. He won the World Series with him. Good guy to talk to, very easygoing. But, a lot of good managers and a lot of good coaches in different sports have lost their jobs for less. So it seems to me, from the situation that I see, that him and Mike Rizzo are fine. They're not going anywhere. But when you start losing 9, 10, 11, 12 games in a row, the fans, the players, even themselves, the organization has to kind of look in the mirror and say, well, we got to do something, right? We're not going to just continue down this road. And maybe a hard decision like that has to be made.
So one of the things that Rizzo said this morning to the Junkies, Byron, that I thought was interesting, and I will admit I do not follow the Nationals closely enough to definitively know this one way or the other, but it didn't feel like it was correct. But you do, so I get to ask you now. He said that, like, Davey's great with the young players, and there's the track record. And I'm like, well, we know he was good with the vets. That's how he won the World Series. But one of the big complaints of since the World Series has been the lack of development of any of these young players into stardom. And maybe some of them are on their way, the James Woods, etc. But as someone who's around this club all the time, like, how is Davey with young guys, and how suited is he to be someone who is in charge of a rebuild versus using the skills that we know he has to lead a veteran team to a championship?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much on his coaching staff and the way he acts around them, the way he leads them. They're going to follow from what he says. And you're right. When things were going great, you can see how Davey's leadership had helped the entire team, because they had the veterans that also were kind of managers in the clubhouse. And they don't have as many of those, it seems like, as they did when they were really, really good. But he does spend a lot of time with these guys before the games, after the games, a lot of closed-door meetings, a lot of times in his office, a lot of times in batting practice, a lot of times in fielding practice. So he is spending a lot of time with these guys. But, they are impressionable, and a lot of times when the Nationals were really good, they had those leaders like Ryan Zimmerman or Adam LaRoche or, Howie Kendrick, that kind of led by example because they had been there and done that already. And we do have a few of those guys on this team. I'm not taking away from the veterans we do have. But, it's not just the manager, as he was kind of saying. It's not just the coaches. The clubhouse has to kind of lead itself as well. So that's a great question. How good is he with the young guys? This is the time for the Nationals. They're going to have 1-1. They're going to have the number 1 overall selection coming up, just like they did back in 2009 and 2010. They have put together a lot of good quality talent because of having to trade such big-time players like Juan Soto and Trey Turner and Max Scherzer over the years. They have some guys that are top 10 performers. And it's going to be, how Davey Martinez's resume is going to look after these next few years. Are these guys, will C.J. Abrams become a star? Will, Luis Garcia Jr. has been here for a while. We need to see them become, the top all-star performers, or even, maybe in the top 15 they need to be. Absolutely, it's on Davey Martinez. And the longer you go, I guess I'm going to answer my question the long way. The longer you go, it's more and more going to be on Davey and, how he acts around these young guys versus how he acts around the veterans.
Byron Kerr, where should people go if people want to read or listen to more for you these days, Byron? What's the best spot for them?
Well, you mentioned it. I did Associated Press last night, and MLB.com. I'm covering the Nationals and their opponents July 1st through the 6th. So I'll be doing a lot of that this summer. And of course, you can hear my dulcet tones as the stadium announcer for DC United. So
there you go.
They're kind of in a little weird time here where the FIFA World Cup has taken over.
Yes.
The Club World Cup has taken over at Audi Field. But
kickoff at like 9
DC
o'clock
United,
tonight for that,
Washington
by the way, right? Like, what are we doing?
So hopefully, but that'll be fun tonight to see some incredible club Juventus come in and play there. So yeah. DC United, MajorLeagueBaseball.com, and AP. That's where you can catch me.
All right, Byron.
On 106.7 The Fan.
Of course, and here on the Team 980. Oh, whenever we call you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Byron, it's
anytime,
great to chat. Hopefully I'll see you around some point soon. Appreciate it. Thanks.
A great show.
That is Byron Kerr with us here on the Hoffman Show. All right, when we get back, great stuff from Byron there, and plenty to chew on the Davey Martinez stuff. I'm sure we'll continue to cover that as this story goes, or the Nats will start winning again, and we can say, like, hey, remember that weird mid-June lull that they were on where we thought everyone was going to get fired? But we have enormous breaking news. In fact, the biggest team sale in the history of pro sports is reportedly been agreed upon. We'll tell you more about it and what it means next on the Hoffman Show. Never heard this version of the instrumental before, Anthony.
I haven't either, correct?
You just like found a new folder today, didn't you?
Yeah. I told you they updated this folder over here, so it has like everything.
All right.
So some days I'm gonna be feeling like playing, future Lil Wayne. Some days I'm gonna give you a little Bruce Springsteen. Some days I want to give you some Misery Business. No, not Paramore. We're not doing that.
No,
I learned my lesson.
only when Clinton's going to be on the show. And boy, do we have something to talk about with Clinton on Friday. Mr. LA.
Yes, we do.
Which is what we're going to talk about in a second. I will say, my dad, there's a chance my parents are listening to the show right now. Like, they listen sometimes anyway on the Odyssey app, like down from South Carolina, but they're like up this weekend. So, and they're driving around up to my sister's place right now. So they could be listening on the old AM radio. My dad, at this point, I'm sorry, Mom, because my dad would be belting out the words and being like, Craig, stop talking over the song.
Has he left Bruce?
Yeah. He's a Jewish man in his 60s. Like, come on. From New York. Of course he loves Bruce Springsteen. It's part and parcel of the territory. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We'll do a ton more on this on Friday. God, we have way too much on the show on Friday. I'm now actually almost mad we're off tomorrow. Can I get a random day off next week? I got stuff to talk about. Is that possible? What, Anthony, you go on vacation next week. I want to go on vacation next week too. This week, got stuff to do. But that's not how holidays work, and tomorrow's an important one. But anyway, the point is, the Los Angeles Lakers are going up for sale, or / have been purchased at a valuation of $10 billion. This is by far and away the most expensive team sale in the history of professional sports. It surpasses the Washington Commanders sale for $6.2 billion. There's some other like pro soccer team sales in England that have been up north of $5 million. There are some that I think could probably gain in the $8 billion range. We were just talking in the break, like the Yankees, the Cowboys, they would probably be up around this range for what the Lakers just went for. But the sale is significant for a ton of reasons. One, just the idea that the Buss family isn't going to own the Lakers is nuts. Now, they're apparently still going to be involved, and they're selling it to Mark Walter. Walter is an investor who is apparently even richer than people thought. It was funny because his net worth was thought to be about $6 billion. And then last October, Bloomberg was like, actually, we think it's 12. Just became more. And he was already a 20% stake owner in the Lakers, and he is a part of the ownership group of the Dodgers. So he is not new to owning teams in LA. Obviously, the Dodgers have been fantastic. Lakers fans are probably thrilled about this because, frankly, while the Buss family has historic lore, and Jerry Buss will forever be seen as a god in Los Angeles because of what he did building the Showtime Lakers, like, the Lakers have not been a model NBA franchise in a long time. They've been very, very lucky that various players have come to them. But basically, since Jerry Buss died and they kicked Jerry West out of the franchise, so we're talking, I mean, really, even the last great move the Lakers made was a Jerry West move. It just so happened that he was the executive in charge in Memphis who traded them Pau Gasol. And everyone thought that was such a gift. And then Marc Gasol was the best player the Grizzlies got for a decade. And he was, a part of that trade for his brother. So it's been a long time since the Lakers have been a model NBA franchise. They are very mom and pop in how they run things, which, is how the Buss family wanted it. Very insular. And now you're talking about the glamour franchise of the NBA, hopefully acting like a model franchise, which is going to mean spending money. I know that, for instance, JJ Redick has talked about, investing more in some of the R&D, the research and development type of stuff, getting a better analytics department, getting more on the training side. Like, this, I think, is kind of should be terrifying for the rest of the league. Ownership matters in sports, and I know I don't have to preach that with any length. I could just say ownership matters, and everyone around DC, after seeing what happened in the last year with Josh Harris's group, goes, like, if ownership matters in sports and the Lakers have won as much as they've won with bad ownership since the mid-2000s, really, since Jeannie and Jim and all the rest of the Bus kids were fighting over the team and doing a bad job with it, extending Kobe Bryant's career or his contract longer than they should have in a way that was kind of a gift to Kobe, and then getting lucky with LeBron and then kind of messing up, not messing up, but like they definitely haven't done great with terms of the coach hirings and the GM stuff. Like if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm like, ooh, I hope that I do a good job in the next. And maybe the Luka trade just saved my ass because I haven't had a great record as GM here. The Lakers now are going to be willing to spend at a much higher level, like well into the luxury tax, much easier than with the Buses. They will invest in the organization in major, major ways, I am sure. And as much as you can buy in the NBA, given that the fact that there is ultimately still a salary cap, but all the other stuff that you can pay for, the Lakers will now act like you think the Lakers should. And I think that is a good thing if you are a Laker fan. If you're a fan of another team, I'm curious to see what it means. I'll put it that way. We're a long way from knowing. It's going to take a couple years for all this stuff to flesh out. And obviously, ultimately, you are defined by your roster is the number one thing. But this is an enormous deal, both from a historic sense in the Bus family, even though Jeannie's going to still serve as the governor, at least for now. She's still going to be involved and will be the representative in league meetings and such. The fact that the financial balance sheet of the Lakers just changed is huge for the basketball, and the significance of the Bus family no longer being the majority owners in basketball or of the Lakers is significant as well from a storyline standpoint. And I think last but not least, too, like it just furthers the NBA down a path that a lot of sports are on right now, which is to say that if you don't have new money, big time investor type owners, you're going to get left behind. I think the Steelers are experiencing this in the NFL. The Bengals, some of their problems like come from the fact that they've got this family that owns them, that has owned them forever, and is rich by any other standard, in part because they own the football team. But that's their entire net worth. They don't have investment money. They don't have billions and billions and billions. And if you're not owned by a super duper rich family and or group of families, you're suddenly behind. And what that means for pro sports is like an interesting conversation, one that I need to call my guy, Eben Noby-Williams at Sportico and have, because he'd be the right person to talk about with it. Mark that down for next week, Anthony, before you go on vacation or after. I don't really care. Maybe we do it after. You're not here. That way I got something to do. But this is something that is a larger conversation within sports, and there has never been a more glaring example of it than, holy crap, the Lakers just sold for $10 billion. When we get back, never read the comments. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. It's 5:30 on a Wednesday, which is not typically the time we do never read the comments, but we don't have a show tomorrow. So maybe we should read some comments.
We tried to warn them. They didn't listen. Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, we got a lot of different stuff, a potpourri, if you will, of never read the comments this week. We got some football, we got some soccer in here. Soccer. We got some shout outs in the comments. We got some of them at Craig Hoffman. We got some of them at the Team 980. There's a lot of different stuff we got. Let's start off with some fun ones, kind of warm it up as we tend to do. We start off with some comments on Take Command. And Anthony, this made me laugh. So we're talking about all the scheme stuff with Jaden and the different up-tempo stuff that Cliff uses. And I was like, we can get it. I remember saying it. And then I remember thinking there's going to be people that ask for this. But I remember going, we could get really into the nitty-gritty here. We'd probably lose people, but, we'd be here for an hour, and we don't have time for that. And sure enough, Anthony, I should have known better than to threaten people with a good time. Bladem D6029. More nitty-gritty, please. To which Norm Adamus says, "Yup, I was like, hit us with it, guys. I'll stay up late and watch for hours." I should have known better, Anthony. Should have known better than to threaten folks with a good time.
Yep.
There's also this one from Maddie McMatt, which, again, real thing. Maddie McMatt, but the last M-A-T, or last Matt is only M-A-T. The others, M-A-T-T-Y, McMatt, M-A-T-T, M-A-T. Some inconsistency there, Maddie McMatt.
I just say, what in the world?
And in case there's multiple Maddie McMatt, this one's Maddie McMatt, 5822. Says, Monolith and Obelisk. Logan is the professor for a reason. Logan's a funny man because sometimes he says really big words and you're just like, you're the smartest person I've ever met. And there's other times where he hasn't heard of something or like he's not super online. He's out there being Dad Logan and Coach Logan and Analyst Logan. And I'm like, do you live under a rock? Funny guy, that Logan Paulson.
That's your man.
That is my guy. My guy. I love that funny man, Logan Paulson. And he also has no problem laughing at himself when he's like, yep, I sure do live under a rock. What are you talking about? This thing that everyone is talking about. All right, let's get to the football. And we got first a response to our segment, Anthony, about whether or not the Commanders have done enough to address the defensive line issues that made them not successful against the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Kaiser Soze 540 says, Craig, stop making Dante Fowler the scapegoat for our run defense. He was a situational pass rusher and the only one that could win one-on-one. 10.5 sacks and a touchdown. Our tackles, linebackers, and defensive ends were atrocious against the run, and none of them can win one-on-one. Situational pass rusher, he says. Right? Anthony, how many defensive ends, edge players, played more snaps than Dante Fowler for the Washington Commanders in 2024?
I'm going to say Dorrance.
You can stop naming people. That's it. That's the list.
I'm about to say, I think that's it.
He was supposed to be a situational pass rusher. He was not a situational pass rusher. He was an every down type of player. That was the problem. And making sure that that was not going to be the case again was why they, I think, had a disagreement over him coming back. He probably was like, I played great. I want to do this again. And they were like, yeah, you played more and better than we expected, but like, that's a relative thing. We expected you to be awful against the run if you ever had to be an every down player, and you were merely bad, my guy. And so that's the thing, is he wound up playing a lot more than he was supposed to. And there were some times that he won one-on-one and took guesses and made tackles for loss. And, like, he was an impactful player. Sometimes the impact was negative. And unfortunately, against the Eagles specifically, there's a couple of the big plays that go off of left end that are right end defensively, left side of the offensive line, that are Dante Fowler's fault. The first big run, the 60-yard touchdown from Saquon Barkley in the NFC Championship game, is because Dante Fowler does a dum-dum. He spins back inside, takes out two of his own guys, including Bobby Wagner, and Saquon's out the gate. Like, it happens, but it shouldn't happen on the first play of the game because you do something outrageous that you know better than to do, especially against that team with that guy. So it's not about like making Dante Fowler a scapegoat. It's saying, hey, the problem was we didn't have the players last year to make it so that Dante Fowler was a situational pass rusher, something he can be very good at and is his highest and best use. Thus, he was overexposed, and thus the exposure caused problems. This year, with guys like Dietrich Wise, they have better first and second down edge players, more options out there. Cleveland Ferrell, a backup as opposed to a starter, and a guy that was supposed to be the starter over Fowler last year, and then he was hurt most of the year. They have the depth. They have the pieces. Kinlaw can play out there. Payne can play a big edge if they really need. Jacob Martin is the situational pass rusher, and he's not as good as Fowler, but it is what it is. Like, they have the depth this year to do some different stuff. Or they can play some 3-4 looks with Frankie out on the edge, and they have the beef inside to make that work. So I just think that, like, again, if we're not trying to blame anybody in particular. Fowler's name comes up a lot because of the Eagles game and the specific 60-yard touchdown, but it's a much bigger story about what Dante Fowler playing as much as he did last year meant for that version of the Commanders versus what it's going to be this year with him not in the picture at all and significantly better run players, more balanced first and second down players being on the field for those snaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team understood, what our Achilles heel was last year, and they made the necessary, acquisitions to address that problem. Just like offensively, they understood what one of our Achilles heels. I think, just being behind on the sticks, and all these penalties that were caused by Coleman or whoever. But I just think they took a full review of the season, addressed those problems in the offseason, and hopefully it's going to end up, being better for us. But us not bringing Dante Fowler back, I don't think is going to be the end of the world.
No, I mean, I think they would have loved to bring him back, but it was pretty clear that they wanted him back in a certain role, and he did not like that, as seen by the social media activity that followed. All right, this one was on our Take Command mailbag, Anthony. This one from a Team 980 comment from Jacob. And we were talking on Take Command about how the Commanders did last year and, what happens if Jaden is better this year and some of the situational stuff. And Jacob says, we won a lot of games on the last drive. I don't think it is safe to assume that we will just win 12 again if all things stay the same. We could have easily been 7-10 last year, and us being better than the other team was not always how we won. New Orleans came back to beat us, and by an inch, a backup DB got a fingertip on a ball, and they didn't. The Cowboys swept us pretty handily until our backup came in and threw a wrench in their plan. The Bears overcame a dominant performance by the Commanders, then gave up a Hail Mary. How many Hail Marys do you think we're going to get this year? The schedule is rough. I got 11 really hard games, and of course 6 any given Sunday dates. I believe we are good. Cincinnati is good. How are they looking? I'm bracing for a disappointing 25 and then a comeback 26 season. I think this is, one, nobody knows. That's what it means to be in June in the NFL, and it is June 18th today. So I have no idea. But I think the hope is that they will not have to rely on the high variant stuff that they did last year. Unbelievable excellence, historic excellence on fourth down. Scrambling at such a high rate from Jaden Daniels. Obviously, tremendous situational football, a lot of really good third down performances. Obviously, their 2-minute stuff was insanely good, both at end of half and end of games, both offensively, frankly, and defensively. Like, there was just so much good situational football. They are trying to, with how they are building it this year, the offensive line getting better and the defensive line getting better specifically. That is how you get better first and second down. You become more efficient, and that allows you to get more chunk plays offensively. It allows you to be in better situations defensively. And that lack of variance means that you don't have to rely upon the stuff that I think you saw last year and thus all those close games, because you're going to play a slightly different style. That also means, like, one of the things that was high variance that is basically unrepeatable from last year is you're not going to have as many, and I don't even know if this is high variance, it's just highly unlikely is a better way to put it, right? Dog, how many times did they go on like 18 play drives last year?
A couple of times.
I felt like there were 2 or 3 every game. It was
we
crazy.
Had one on the first drive against the Eagles.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we're going to take 7 minutes off the clock, and now we're halfway through the first quarter, and it's 7-0 Commanders on a 14-play, 80-yard drive where they converted 3 third downs and 2 fourth downs. Oh, okay. Not going to do that this year. The hope is that, hey, Laramie Tunsil's here. Offensive line's a little better. Jaden's got a little extra time. Let's hit that shot down the field to Terry. Let's hit that shot down the field to, let's have time for this high crossing route to play out, and we can hit Debo on the run at 18 yards and let him run away from people. Like, these are the kinds of things. Let's get the ball 60 yards down the field to Noah Brown, and he can either catch it or draw a PI, and we can get a chunk play that way. These are the kinds of things that you're hoping can happen this year. And then the reverse is true on the other side. Oh, hey, it's 2nd and 4 because he just ran the ball for 6 yards on first down. Now our entire playbook's open. We can run the ball again and feel good about it. We can pass the ball short. We can pass the ball off play action. We can just take a straight 7-step drop and chuck the ball down the field. Like, at 2nd and 4, the world is your oyster. Now it's going to be 2nd and 8 because we got dudes who can stop the run. And, like, that's the plan for the Commanders. And so I do think some of their situational excellence was not as quite high variance as traditionally those situations are, because the Commanders practice them at such a high level and with such frequency that it wasn't an accident that they were masters. It wasn't luck that they were masters of situational football. But when you invest in the offensive and defensive line, the result is you don't have to rely on that stuff as much because you can just convert more often or prevent the other team from being in good situations and converting as often. And I think the team clearly attacked the offseason that way. Now, does that mean with the harder schedule that they're going to win 12 games? No. But if you can win 10 or 11 and be fresh going into the playoffs with some good injury luck again, then you're in good shape. And that's what we got to say about that.
Yeah, my bad.
Normally you react, Anthony. It's kind of I know that I sometimes it feels like I'm dribbling for 22 seconds and I lob you a grenade at the end, but you typically stay ready to shoot. And I looked over and I was like, oh, that ball just landed out of bounds.
Yeah, that was my bad. I was sending an email.
Oh, was it an important one?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right, Anthony, I got this one because it's a soccer question. That okay?
Is this the Spirit?
No, it's not a Spirit. It's a U.S. men's national team.
U.S. men's national team. You got that.
Yeah,
sure.
you go send it an email. I'm gonna activate one shot. Anthony, off screen. This one from Ronald Tillman. This is an argument that is as old as time, and it's as tired as it is old. We did a segment with our guy Jeff Reuter from The Athletic on the U.S. men's national team and the struggle that they have faced and the terrible situation they look to be in going into the weekend. Now, of course, they went out and beat Trinidad and Tobago 5-0 to open the Gold Cup, so maybe we know nothing. But realistically, when you look at certain statistics and rankings, they are the worst they've been not only recently, but in 25 years. And that is 1 year ahead of when they're going to host the World Cup. Not great. And so Ronald writes in, soccer heads in this country need to understand that the vast majority of Americans aren't that into soccer. Our best athletes that could excel in the sport are playing football as wide receivers and DBs or basketball as guards. We simply don't care as much as the world does otherwise. Our best athletes would participate in the sport at a much higher rate. Ronald, I have bad news for you. This take stinks. This take is stupid. To pretend like the soccer players that we produce aren't great athletes is not the problem. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the issue is with the U.S. men's national team program. The athleticism isn't the problem. Typically, the U.S. has actually had one of the more athletic rosters of any team in the world. When they've been good, they've been able to out-athlete other better footballing nations. And then the response for years was, well, we're not technical enough. And so in a truly American answer, everyone's like, get out the cones. And then you have a youth program that's built on a zillion cone drills in a sport that requires tremendous creativity and problem solving and fluidity and togetherness. And so the youth system in this country is not really designed to, as on the men's side especially, to foster, and not to mention, it's a sport that became very expensive at the youth level. So some of our more creative players that might have been great are playing out on the street somewhere and aren't playing travel soccer and not getting into the right youth programs and getting noticed by the right people. Like, we're wasting talent. We're a country of, at this point, nearly 400 million people. We can't find 11, 22, 25, 26 to make up a roster that's competitive? No. It's not because Russell Westbrook decided he wanted to play basketball instead of soccer. Like, would Russell Westbrook potentially be a great soccer player? Maybe, but there aren't a ton of great players that are 6'3" running around. Like, sure, you got some defenders. You got some players that are, basketball guard size. You got some that are DB size. But like, Messi's 5'8", maybe. Like, it's a different body type with different skills. And to pretend like there's an athleticism problem, that our best athletes are doing other stuff, is a fundamental misunderstanding of the problem. We have a lack of cohesion and a lack of vision and a lack of togetherness and purpose and so many things that make great teams that has caused problems in the U.S. soccer system. It's not getting the most out of what are actually very talented and athletic players. And that's not to say the players aren't at any fault, but it's not what it could be if there were some different choices made by U.S. soccer over the years. So, Ronald, I hope that helps. Anthony, anything you'd like to add at the end, or did I cover it for what we needed there?
Craig, you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Nice ISO shot. You got to the basket. You finger roll high off the backboard, just like you're taught. Great job.
Thanks. Did you finish your email?
I did.
Okay, excellent. Last but not least, we had our guy Mo Egger on, Anthony. This is our little dessert at the end. We had our guy Mo Egger on from 1530 in Cincinnati, and I put Mo on the spot, and I was like, all right, Shamar Stewart of the Bengals, like who's right here? And people really enjoyed that, including Justin Evans, 182, who says, shout out to Craig Bleepin Hoffman for just straight up asking Mo to pick sides. Exemplary work. I'm going to do that more often. I'm going to start putting people on the spot. I hated it when I was a guest on shows. Actually, that's not true. Sometimes I'm just like, hey, can we stop circling and can we just land the plane? If I don't want to pick a side, I won't. I can give a convoluted answer. People that listen to this show are like, sure you can, buddy. But sometimes there's a clear thing. You just got to know. Hey, is there a clear hero and villain here? And if so, who's who? And that's why I get paid whatever bucks I get paid.
The big bucks.
I said what I said. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And here on the Team 980, we're your home for Wizards basketball. And 1 week from tonight, the Washington Wizards and the rest of the NBA will embark on the first round of the NBA draft. Our guy David Aldridge did his NBA Draft Confidential, which is one of my favorite articles of the year. It's actually coming out in 3 parts. The guards came out today, forwards tomorrow, bigs on Friday. So what are top NBA scouts, executives, and college coaches saying about the top prospects of the guard position in this class, and how does that shape what we feel like the Wizards should do? We will discuss next on the Team 980. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. The first time I ever saw a Draft Confidential piece was from Ryan Russillo back in the day when he was working for ESPN Radio, and Grantland let him do this, and he was able to get 3 executives. I think that one was a GM, one was like a senior scout type of deal. And it's just unfiltered thoughts on prospects. And it was awesome. And Ryan might not have been the first one to ever do that. It's not exactly the most crazy idea. Like, hey, I'll grant you anonymity to say anything you want as long as I can quote you. Okay, sick. But taking that concept and applying it to drafts is something that I think turns into really good content. Bruce Feldman does it for The Athletic now on the NFL side. And David Aldridge, the Hall of Famer and our good pal, he has done it for the last couple of years on the NBA side as well for The Athletic. And so over the next 3 days, David's releasing all the work that he's done over the past couple of months, collecting all these quotes and getting all these opinions. And it's college coaches, college executives, because that's a thing now, like GMs of college programs. You have NBA executives, NBA coaches, all people who have thoughts on all these different prospects. And day one today is the guards, and there's some really interesting stuff in here. Not only, Anthony, for players that the Wizards could be considering at the 6th overall pick, but for some players that they will be considering surely at the 18th overall pick as well. I'm going to skip over Dylan Harper, other than just giving a overall thought that applies to everyone else, because Harper's going second. Whether he goes second to San Antonio or second to someone else, I think that is up for debate. It's a funky fit for Harper just because they already have De'Aaron Fox and just traded quite a bit for him. They have Steph Castle, last year's Rookie of the Year. But Harper is seen by most, I think, as a generational type, not a generational, as an all-star type player. But it is kind of funny to, Eastern Conference scout number 1. I don't think he has a real high ceiling, but I think he'll play and play for a long time. College assistant coach 2, whose team played against Harper at Rutgers. Very talented, can go both ways. Right, left, prefers left. Obviously, the bloodlines are there. Is he a 1 or a 2? And so you have these different, Western Conference executive number 1. Obviously, like the size for the position, I think he's going to have to be more the Cade Cunningham type and gives, this whole scouting report. And I think it's just funny to remember, as we talk about a lot during NFL draft season, even amongst teams, nevertheless, evaluator to evaluator, the views of these players are different. There's no such thing as, even Cooper Flagg. There's someone somewhere who works for an NBA team that is like, I don't think that kid's that good. I think that person's crazy, and I have serious questions about their ability to evaluate talent, but they've also probably been right about stuff, and they work for an NBA team. And I think that's important to point out as we go through this. There's a lot of differing opinions, and that's why I actually really enjoy this, is because instead of getting the same scouting report that you get from every single draft service, you get real opinions with some variance on the range of what these guys could be.
Yeah, and it's funny you say there's somebody on, some NBA scouting team that thinks Cooper Flagg isn't good. When he was in high school and he was killing and bursting onto the scene, I was talking to a coach, and he was telling me, he's not that good. The circuit that he's playing on isn't that good. He's playing in Maine. And I'm like, some of the stuff he's doing is just still unprecedented.
And then he went to USA Select Camp and was the best player on the floor with Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant.
And then he went on to play on the Nike circuit, because everybody, if you play on the Nike circuit, the Peach Jam, you go to Peach Jam and you do your thing down there. That's where you get your praise. And he went down there and was killing them. And finally, the coach was like, all right, I take back everything I said about this guy. He actually is the truth. And that's sort of kind of just what it takes. It takes being put in, or for some coaches anyway, put in a different environment, seeing how you respond. But the fact that he was cooking Kevin Durant on a court with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, I think that speaks volumes to who he is.
Flagg's the truth for sure, and he'll be a part of the Wings segment that Aldridge puts out tomorrow. So the first guy we're going to hit is VJ Edgecombe, who ESPN now has as their third pick in this draft, the guy they think is going to go to the Philadelphia 76ers if the Sixers don't trade that pick. Western Conference, I'm just going to read a couple of snippets from these guys. But Western Conference exec number 2. I think he's more like Cam Thomas than an all-pro player or something like that. But Edgecombe, to me, has more upside than Thomas. I like him better offensively, athletically. I like him better defensively. I think he's more of a versatile all-around player than Cam is. College general manager. From the jump, he was a super mature kid. When coaches are talking, eyes on them. Very coachable. Wants to learn, wants to get better. Never late. First in, last to leave. Just things you have to tell guys. Sometimes you're telling guys who are 5 or 6 year pros. For him, it came naturally. Western Conference scout number 1. From the end of the season until now, his jumper has gotten better. It was flat during the year. And then he got to the combine in Chicago, and he was like, whoa, that shot's not flat anymore. Last but not least, Eastern Conference exec number 1. To me, I think he could be the second best player in this draft. He's a little raw basketball experience-wise, but he's a great kid. Steph Castle was Rookie of the Year. The biggest reason was he was able to defend right away. This guy can do the same thing, and he's not a bad shooter. Edgecombe is a guy, like if he falls to 6, I think the Wizards are going to be thrilled. I do think the Wizards, Josh Robbins had a great piece in The Athletic today, kind of where the Wizards are sitting. And I think there might be a guy that they really like, and maybe throughout this draft process, they've fallen in love with someone. But when Will Dawkins said, hey man, like we're just going to take the best player at 6, I tend to believe him. That they look at guys like Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson. They're all kind of in the same tier. I can tell you why they're going to be good. I can tell you why they might not work out. And that's, whoever falls to them, we'll see. But I think Edgecombe, like in terms of a Washington fit, he's got positional size, great athleticism, and he's an A-plus kid. He might not be able to shoot, and he might be really limited offensively in the league. It depends on how much the offensive side of his game comes along. He's got some bag, but the bag's got to get a lot deeper and a lot sharper. And the shooting obviously has got a long way to go. And it's like, how many of those same types of guys do you want? Bub Carrington's a little bit that way. Bilal is that way. So do they want someone who fits a different mold, or do they want someone who's kind of similar, but maybe even a better version of some of the guys that they have? And that's kind of where I feel like Edgecombe fits. But from a character standpoint, you bet on that kid, which I think is why he's risen to the top of this group of players.
You got to love a high character guy. I was thrown off a little bit when he got the Cam Thomas comparison. Like, Cam Thomas is really a bucket, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not to say, Edgecombe isn't that guy.
It's more of the tier, right? It's like Cam Thomas is a bucket, but is he an all-star?
Nah. Okay, got you.
Right, and that Edgecombe is like might be a defensive version of that, where it's like I'm trying to think of like a good comparison. Like obviously, if it works, he's Andre Iguodala, like with the high IQ, the high character, the defensive ability. If he can develop offensively, like Andre's a guy that could play point guard. I don't know that Edgecombe has that basketball IQ at the very least yet, but the question is like, could he get it? Who's a less deluxe Andre Iguodala? I don't know. I'm blanking right now. But that's VJ Edgecombe. The other guy from the guard spot, and this guy may be more Cam Johnson as a player, is Trey Johnson. Texas guard, or 6'5", he's 19 years old, and Eastern Conference scout number 1 says, again, this is reading from The Athletic's NBA Draft Confidential, just in part. It's worth reading. It's a long piece. It's worth your time. Read the whole thing if you're an NBA draft nut. He has a chance to be one of the top 3 players. He has the talent to do it. I think he has the mindset. He's been a really hard player to like. I've watched him for 3 years. He's a hard player to like because he seems like he's a selfish player, but he's the hardest worker from everybody I've talked to at Texas. Eastern Conference scout number 2. The impressive thing about him is you look at his stats for a freshman, what he shot, and with the whole scouting report geared to stop him, he can shoot that thing. What they're talking about Ant Edwards is that Ant needs to learn how to play with his back to the basket. Trey has that shot in his game. I've seen him get off the ball. I've seen him worry about playing against more athletic guys off the bounce. I just worry about him playing against more athletic guys off the bounce, but off the catch, 1 to 2 dribbles, he's one of the best doing that. Western Conference executive number 2. He's been the same player his whole life. He's got to be a guy who gets the ball and gets a lot of shots. He's going to have the ball. There's going to be some standing around and watching him. He'll score in the NBA. Last but not least, one more. Johnson's good, probably the best shooter in the draft, probably top 5, top 10. He's improved too. His attitude's improved. His game is more well-rounded than it was a year ago. How many really good shooters are a little selfish? That doesn't bother me. Johnson, to me, is the most interesting player in this entire draft outside of the top 2 guys, because there is a chance he's Devin Booker. And if he's Devin Booker, that's the 3rd best player probably in this draft, because Devin Booker's a freaking first-team All-NBA Olympian caliber player. Devin Booker's awesome. Devin Booker was the best player on a team that won 2 games in the NBA Finals in 2021 before losing to Giannis. Like, Devin Booker's awesome. Does Trey Johnson have the makeup that Booker has? Does he have the playmaking ability that Booker has? Devin, coming out of Kentucky, didn't necessarily have that stuff, or we didn't know. And I think that's what teams are probably going to be trying to figure out, is watching film with the kid, interviewing him. How does he feel about, like, how much can you feel out his basketball IQ? And then what are you going to get for him defensively? Because that's the other thing, is Booker, remember, when some of the tweets were coming out last summer in the Olympics about who's the guy that's going to do the dirty work, Booker was like, I got it. He's got that competitiveness in him. Does Johnson have that in him to get better defensively? And does he have the ability to get better defensively? If he does, he's probably the guy that should go 3. If not, he's probably going to fall a little bit. But if, for the Wizards, I think he's a very interesting guy, because obviously they need shooting desperately, and he is a guy that can shoot the absolute mess out of the ball.
Yeah, I was thinking about, his buy-in being the biggest thing with him. I think being able to score, if you can score, I think that will translate well to the NBA. And the fact that he's getting a Devin Booker comparison, I think is like very on par. Because even when Devin Booker was at Kentucky, we saw flashes where he can score, but he wasn't going out there dropping 20 and 30 every game, because there were just so much talent around him. So I think coming to the NBA, he'll have a little bit more of an opportunity to, like, even showcase what he's already showcased in college, where he was averaging 20. Like, he was getting buckets.
As a 19-year-old in the SEC. Like, he's a really talented scorer. The question is like, what is the value of that? And that's kind of, I think, what we're trying to figure out in the modern NBA, which leads us to a couple more guys we're going to talk about next. Jeremiah Fears, the point guard from Oklahoma, plus a Tyrese Halliburton type of build player that I'm very intrigued by. And there's another French guard, so we got to talk about him, because we know Will Dawkins loves him a French guard. We will discuss more of the 2025 NBA draft guard class with some help from David Aldridge next. But first, the latest from the world of women's sports, presented to you by Wawa. Chicken how you want it at Wawa, with customizable roasted and crispy chicken sandwiches. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We'll preview Game 6 of the NBA Finals coming up at 6:30. Right now, though, previewing the NBA Draft, which is a week away. And David Aldridge has released his annual NBA Draft Confidential, where he talks to a number of executives, coaches, scouts about the prospects and says, you tell me your honest opinion, and in return, I won't put your name on it. So it's a great way to get real info on these guys. And with that, we pick up with the guards, which came out today. There will be the forwards and the bigs tomorrow and Friday on The Athletic. Jeremiah Fears is a player that I'm going to kind of brush by because I actually don't know how interesting he is here, unless, Anthony, we get a Jordan Poole trade in the next week.
Okay.
If you tell me there's a Jordan Poole trade,
You get the next best point guard kind of
now I'm interested in a point guard. And not that Jordan is 100% here for the long term, like the 2028, 2029 long term. But you do, if you're going to acquire a player, and this was kind of the Denny Avdija trade last year, right? You need to open up the space for that player to get minutes and develop. And so if you've already got Bub Carrington and you have Jordan Poole, who's a point guard, where is Jeremiah Fears getting minutes? That said, just in case, and there's a chance that they just think he's the best player on the board and they figure it out later. Eastern Conference scout number 1. He's hard for me. He was at the USA Basketball 2024 FIBA Men's U18 America Cup, and he's trying to get it all at once. You want him to take a bit of time, but he can go and get a bucket. He can pass. The intel is a lot better than you see as a player. As a player, I think there's times he's a baby. He gets frustrated easily. I'm trying to think of guys he can be like. He's growing up, so that helps, but he's more of a Darius Garland type player. Darius Garland's a very, very good player, but he's not the best player on a title team, right? He's the second best guard on that team and probably the third or fourth best player overall when you compare Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and depending on what you think of guys like Jared Allen. Eastern Conference scout number 2. He gets to the paint. He didn't shoot it at a high clip, but a lot of that is being young and garnering a lot of attention. But he can shoot it. He'll be fine in that area. He has some speed in the open floor. Fears in transition. When he picks up speed, he's really good, and he sees the floor pretty well. I think he's really interesting. Last one, because this guy loves him. Eastern Conference exec number 1. Love him. I think he's right up there. He's like Cooper Flagg. He's classified up, so he's young. So just from an age perspective, he's a year younger, like Flagg is compared to most of these guys. He's only 18. To me, he's a future all-star. Smooth. Does he need to get stronger? Yeah, but he's not skinny. He's athletic as heck, quick as heck. So Fears is definitely interesting. I just wonder, is it the right pick for the Wizards right now if they were to have that as an option? The size is definitely something to worry about, but he's the youngest player in the draft. And the Wizards also like taking guys who were really young because the runway is so long in terms of how much better they can get. Here's a guy that's super interesting to me, Anthony. How's your file on Igor Denim? Igor Demin.
You said who?
Igor Demin.
One more time. You said who?
EGORDEMIN. Igor Demin.
I don't know about him.
Okay, he's 19 years old. He went to BYU. What if I told you he's 6'8"?
Okay.
And he's a point guard. Like a true point guard. You interested?
I'm in. Hey, look, we're seeing a lot of big guards. You see Tyrese, you see Shea. So, talk to me.
Western Conference exec number 3. His vision and passing stuff, he's not Luka, but this kid can pass it, and he has size and can play in an NBA game because he can think on his own. He doesn't need a script and look at it and has to learn it. He understands flow, who needs touches, time management already. He's mature beyond what he would be as a rookie. At worst, he's Josh Giddey in that hemisphere of a clone. The shooting piece, I'm not concerned with. He'll figure that out. Overall, he may be getting a little undervalued. When I saw him early, I figured if he played 34, 36 minutes a game, he could come close, I'm not saying he would, to averaging a triple-double. And I don't think he was playing with that great a group of guys around him. How many other guys from that team are going to be pulling down a paycheck except for maybe 1 or 2? Definitely some concerns about the shooting and some of the other people that talk about him. But the Josh Giddey comparison is made independently by 2 different people. It's really like, can you handle the physicality? But you know what I can teach in theory? I can teach a guy how to handle physicality. I can get him in the weight room. We can work with him. I can't teach 6'8" with a feel for the game. If he's there at 18, I think the Wizards could certainly look at that. You look at what they like, intellect, feel, positional size. Seems like he's interesting.
No, he definitely does seem interesting. But again, I like the big guard aspect of it. And I think that's what we're starting to see in the NBA. You talk about a Cade Cunningham. I just mentioned Shea and Tyrese. Like, we're seeing big guards sort of kind of, burst into the scene. And maybe that's the new, prototype of guard that a lot of NBA teams want.
Yeah, definitely. And so because of the size, you wonder, could he play with Bub Carrington? Nevertheless, as those two could potentially battle it out in the future for the starting point guard spot. Bub, obviously, heck of a season last year that puts him in a great spot to be that. But I'm intrigued. I need to watch him more. But based off that, I'm intrigued. Last but not least, and there's more. There's write-ups on a bunch of players in here that I did get to, Jace Richardson, Walter Clayton, etc. But one other guy that I've seen mocked to the Wizards at 18, Nolan Traore, 6'3" guard from France. Will Dawkins loves a French guard.
Yes, he does.
Let's see. Where do we want to? Let's see. When you let him play, he's really talented. He can see it. He's really good in transition. He can make a shot, but he's not a dead-eye guy. I think he goes early 20s, late teens, early 20s is a good, comfortable landing spot. He'll probably start his career as a good backup. He'll be a little more mature than a lot of the younger guards because he's played professionally for so long. I don't know if his motor is such to be one of those guys in the league. You have to have that killer gene. I don't think he has it. Hoop Summit, he played out of his mind, but he still doesn't come at you with that, like, I'm going to kill you in his game. This is funny. Western Conference Executive number 3. Our scouts have an equation for French guards. They don't make it in the NBA. Killian Hayes, Frank Ntilikina, not Tony Parker. He made it. I went in with my eyes colored, and then I went, okay, what if this kid was playing in the United States as a freshman or sophomore? Would he be a first-team All-ACC or first-team Big Ten or first-team All-Big Ten? I don't think so, but he'd be flirting with it. Would he be a starter on most ACC or Big Ten squads? Yes. 6'3", real size, plays with pace, good vision, mature. That's at least interesting because I think the other thing that the Wizards have done really well, particularly, is the makeup. Obviously, like Bub, Keyshawn George, like those guys are dudes. They're dogs as well. Like they're both. Whatever the nebulous definitions of those two things, kind of it if you know kind of thing. They are guys that are confident in their own self. They are confident in their ability to grow, and they don't get shaken, which is really important because the Wizards are probably going to lose a lot of games again this year. They have a lottery top 8 protected pick next year. They've already said, like, we're going to play the young guys and see what happens. If the young guys are really good, then great. But when you play a lot of young guys, you're probably not going to be very good. And so you need to be able to handle losing. And if you've played professionally overseas versus you played at a top college program after going undefeated in high school, your ability to handle that, I think, is a little bit different. So I think he's a name to watch at 18, I think, for sure.
I'm not going to lie. The fact that the executive pointed out a lot of French guards don't make it concerns me, Craig. And the thing is,
I think French basketball is in a very different place now, though.
I will say, though, the fact that this franchise has been snake bitten by, not to say we can't go the international route, but I just don't want to.
Bilal, I know Keyshawn played at University of Miami, but Bilal, Sarr, you just have to be good at scouting.
Yeah.
You have to understand. French guards haven't made it. Emmett Fournier has been in the NBA for like a dozen years. Like, there's guys that have, maybe they're not superstars like Tony Parker was, but there's a bunch of really good players that have been just fine from France. And Batum, sure, he's a forward, but like people kind of like him as a point forward. Same thing with Boris Diaw.
Yep.
Diaw's been running the French program for a decade at this point.
Hey, look, Craig, this is why you don't ask Anthony who should the Wizards draft.
No. Famously not. If you know, you know. Which I know, you know, and there's one other person that gets that joke, and I doubt that they're listening right now. When we get back, Game 6 NBA Finals, we're previewing it here on the Team 980. Are we just an instrumental show now? Or just instrumental day?
Instrumental day.
Okay. It's Instrumental Wednesday. What a dumb day. What a dumb theme. On the Hoffman
Would you like
show.
me to sing the lyrics?
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. It's lip syncing.
I don't know the lyrics, Craig. You know this, man.
To Mr. Brightside?
I know the song. I don't. So I'm one of those guys.
It's one of the easiest songs to sing
I don't know the
along
lyrics
to.
though, Craig. I don't.
I actually saw a funny meme on the internet, Anthony, the other day that it was like some girl at a bar Shazamming this song. Didn't know Mr. Bright. She's like bopping. She's like, this song rocks. And just like, that's her body language. And like someone took video of her and Shazam is open on her phone. And you're just
I'm
like,
in tears. Now, this is a great song. I don't know the words.
I guess
though,
you
Craig.
have to learn it at some point in your life. And
So you know the words.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't offer to sing because I don't sing.
Isn't this the chorus?
Yes. Actually, that's the bridge. So, you know, I don't sing, Anthony. I'm on the record as anti-karaoke, anti-singing. I'm bad at it. I don't sing, especially in public. My wife and I might occasionally scream sing songs to each other. This morning during her workout, she was definitely scream singing Cher's Do You Believe in Life After Love to me, because that was her way of suffering and getting through the workout that she was doing on our stationary bike. So just from upstairs, up yonder, I just heard Do You Believe in Life After Love.
Man.
Yeah, that's love right there, baby.
Love that for you guys.
That's the good stuff. All right. Apropos of none of that, also to the people on the internet, Mr. Brightside was playing because the YouTube stream, where you can watch us every day at the Team 980, doesn't get the rejoin music because of copyright law. Game 6 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night, Anthony, and it's obviously do or die. You ready for this? You want to do a bad basketball show impression?
Uh-oh.
Anthony, is Game 6 a must-win for the Thunder?
No.
Okay, ready for the next question? Is Game 6 a must-win for the Pacers?
I think so.
Yeah, because otherwise the season's over. It's like, is it a must-win? I don't know. Will they die if they don't? No, but in the context of the basketball series, yeah. Tyrese Halliburton, a game-time decision officially, but he is already said, like, I'm playing. And I think the question is, like, how effective can he be as a scorer? Because we talked about this extensively yesterday. If you missed this to open the show yesterday and this content, this topic interests you, then you should definitely listen to it on the Hoffman Show podcast, Hour 1 yesterday, wherever you get your podcasts. I do not think that Tyrese Halliburton was nearly as bad in Game 5 as people wanted to say, for the simple reason that he allowed them to still play their style. He kept the pace going. He rebounded the ball well. He had assists. Like in the second half, he did not make a field goal because he didn't make one the whole game. He barely scored, but he did keep the Pacers' identity alive, and that opened up a bunch of other stuff. So if that is who he is going to be, a guy that is merely a ball mover, a creator for others because of his vision and his ability to quickly dissect. The ball needs to go here now. A guy who can anticipate the ball coming off the rim and get them out on their break by rebounding it and getting in transition. Is that worthy of being a starting point guard in the NBA Finals compared to TJ McConnell, who can do less of some of those things but is more effective as a penetrator, can get the ball into the paint and either score for himself or create for others? That is a really hard question for Rick Carlisle to answer. I think what I would probably do is start Halliburton and increase McConnell's minutes. So I'm making the Halliburton stints shorter. They are long enough to keep us going. They are long enough to let him be as effective as he can before that calf gets too tight or is really bothering him. I'm also giving him a chance, obviously, the start of the game to feel it out. Can I generate some movement? Can I get going? But making sure the play style stays intact is worth playing him. You're not saving him for anything. So unless there's like, hey, man, if he plays, he's going to tear his calf and, like, he's out for next season. Like, if that's on the table, then, okay, maybe we just have to bite the bullet and hope that he can heal more going into Game 7, and he's going to have to be careful or whatever. Or we're careful with him. But your season's on the line. You made it this far. You didn't come this far to come this far. I'm starting Halliburton. I'm seeing how he goes. If he cannot get a shot off like he couldn't in Game 5, I'm shortening his minutes maybe significantly, but he still has value over not playing him at all.
Yeah, nah, he definitely has to play. And I'm not going to lie, I was given into some of the criticism because, again, I didn't know how well he was playing despite, the injury to his calf. The fact that he was +3, the fact that you mentioned, he did a great job in terms of just managing the game. Upon a second look, it's just like you need him out there. Granted, when the Pacers are at their best, he is scoring. But even if he's not scoring, he's still impacting the game. So him playing tomorrow is definitely going to be vital for them.
So the other part of this is my hope, if I'm Carlisle, is that I can keep Lou Dort off of TJ McConnell, right? That's why I would start him, is if I can distract Lou Dort with Tyrese Halliburton. Because, like, let's say I say, hey, Hallie's going to come off the bench or he's not playing at all. TJ McConnell, you're starting Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Have fun, bro. Is he going to be able to get the same penetration on Lou Dort as he was able to get on Cason Wallace and the other litany of backup guards? The other assignments that he drew? Like, that to me is the question, is if you were to start McConnell, what is the trickle down? One, who's your backup? Who's playing the McConnell minutes, right? Because it's not just like what's the drop off from healthy Halliburton to healthy McConnell. It's what's the drop off from healthy McConnell to Ben Shepherd, I guess, is probably getting more minutes. And what's better? Some amount of minutes being spent by injured Tyrese Halliburton or healthy Ben Shepherd. That's kind of the question you're asking. And you can stagger the minutes. And I think the other thing is Carlisle, if McConnell's cooking again and Halliburton's as banged up as he was in Game 5, I don't think it's unreasonable to say TJ should close the game. And obviously you need to feel out, as we talked about the other day, Nembhard's the guy I would have benched in the fourth quarter based off how his day was going for McConnell, not Halliburton. So feeling out that mixture of players, I think, is essentially important. And if I'm Carlisle, I'm telling all of them, hey, guys, if it gets down late, you all need to be ready because we're going to play whoever's gotten us there, who's ever gotten us into the end. And then same thing for Game 7. Like, I'm not married to a rotation for the fourth quarter. And I think that's the big factor for me tomorrow. But if I want Siakam to be at his best, if I want Toppin to be at his best, if I want Miles Turner to be at his best, I think Halliburton needs to be out there, even if he's not up to par as a scorer. And even if I shorten down some of those minutes, that still gets me a little more TJ McConnell and what he brings without exposing my third string guys and having to go even deeper into my bench in Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Who do you think is the X factor for the Pacers for tomorrow's game? Anyway?
Mathurin. Because he also saw, like, okay, Halliburton can't score. Who can? Mathurin.
Do you think Siakam needs a...
Siakam's not an X factor because he's got to play well. If Mathurin plays well and Siakam doesn't, congrats, Oklahoma City. You've won the championship.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can play well. Like, he played well last game. He had 28 points, 9 of 15 shooting.
Yeah, Mathurin.
But do we need a 40-point explosion like Jalen Williams just went for?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a game changer, right? But, like, I think if Siakam doesn't have 20+, like, the Pacers are dead in the water. To me, that's not an X factor. That's like that's a heartbeat, right?
Yeah, I just feel like the first three quarters, though, like, he really was, like, pouring it on. Then the fourth quarter, he slowed it down. So, like, if he is consistent through 4 quarters, you got 40 points. And he's had big games before, so I'm putting it more so on Siakam, him going out there taking advantage of his mismatches. I do think Mathurin does need to play. He needs to provide that spark off the bench.
Turner's the other one.
But I'm with Siakam. And if not Siakam, then Nembhard, dude. You got to give me more.
Nembhard's got to be better. He doesn't need to be crazy. Like, if Nembhard can give you 15 points and be efficient with it, like, that's fine. Just don't turn the basketball over.
Yeah.
Keep up your good defense. And then if Turner can get going, like if Turner hits 6 threes, then like we're talking about a different thing. And it feels like he's kind of due. He played better in game 5. He wasn't great, but he was better. And he looked more comfortable. Can they get a big Miles Turner game at home, the longest tenured pacer back in Indiana, give the crowd something to cheer about? Like, I think that would be awesome. And then we head back to OKC for game 7. That's tomorrow night. We are off tomorrow, so we will review either an NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder or preview a game 7 on the weekend on Friday's show. We'll tell you what else we got coming up on Friday and hit real things, real people said in real microphones next on the Team 980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube, too, at the Team 980. All right, last order of business. We're off again tomorrow. I said we're off tomorrow, as I've said multiple times the show. So we're, again, off tomorrow. Be back on Friday. Clinton Yates is going to join us. We're going to talk about this Lakers sale. He and I were texting. We were sending head explode emojis, basically, back and forth. So we'll talk about the Lakers thing. There's a million other things on our rundown. What else we got? Oh, Brittany Sykes is going to be on the show on Friday ahead of the game against Atlanta for the Mystics. What else we got on the rundown, Anthony? Do you remember what else we have on Friday? Because I feel like...
Take him in Game 6. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Will we be talking about a Game 7? Do you think Indiana gets it done?
I think they get it done, man. I feel like OKC was down 2-1 in this series. They came back 1-2 straight. And this team, the Pacers, they've been counted out, doubted all playoffs, even, in the regular season. So I think they're going to be able to respond tonight. They're going to be able to get up for this game. I think they're going to force a Game 7.
Yeah. I found it interesting how much I've been rooting for the Pacers in this series. I just really, really enjoy them. I also really enjoy OKC. So I feel almost bad. So I know my heart, I want it to, because I also want a Game 7. I want the Game 7. I'll be so happy for OKC if they win. I think they're going to do it. And it really, to me, comes down to the fact that Halliburton's not healthy. This is a 68-win juggernaut behemoth. It takes your best to beat them. And I don't think Indiana is going to be at its best because their best player is not capable of playing his best.
At home, though, Craig, the Indianimals.
I know, but they already split one. Oklahoma City's not scared. And I just think unless Halliburton can do something special, then it's probably not going to happen. I just don't know if from a health standpoint he's capable of doing that right now. So that's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, and we're talking about a Game 7 on Friday. Right now, though, let's wrap up the show.
Real things.
We're not gonna be sucked this year.
Real people.
5-11, not very good.
Set into real microphones.
The culture is actually damn good.
That's an interesting end time, Anthony. We haven't had that one in a while.
It is.
All right. This is just, man, this is some real life stuff. DeJounte Murray talking about Greg Popovich to the Pivot podcast. I actually just read a piece in The Athletic in their The Peak vertical, and it talks about human performance of another great Pop story. And I feel like we're going to get more and more Pop stories now that he's done coaching, and people are just going to finally open up about all the amazing experiences they've had with him. Check this out from DeJounte Murray.
He was like a father figure. It's so many stories. If he was able to come sit here and talk, he'd tell you he's never had a player come in his office that cried on his shoulder from how many murders he had to deal with back home in Seattle, how many funerals I had to pay for. It was so crazy. A lot of my people don't even know this, from family, friends, and the penitentiary. Pop didn't want me to go to Seattle. When I first got drafted, I wouldn't go to Seattle. And that was a man that cared about me. That was a man that wanted me to reach my full potential in life first, but then as a basketball player. He's so real, he tried to move my mom to San Antonio with his own money. After she got shot. My mom was shot in the leg my rookie year. He called her himself without me knowing until after the fact. We want to move you here. No, not with his money, with my money. That sounds like a dude that cared about me and loved me, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Pop is one of the most extraordinary people that we've ever had in sports. And we don't know the half of it. It really is wild how different he approaches his job than it feels like most other people. Phil Jackson did it differently, engaged in almost what felt like psychological warfare with his players, and he was really good at manipulating them. That's just not how Popovich was. It was real, it was authentic, it cared, it mattered. Never once did you think that it was that he was easy or soft. And I think that's that's what real toughness is the ability to have those conversations, to be real with people, to be honest with people. And there's nobody in sports who's done it quite like Pop.
I think that's also why I appreciate documentaries, because we get a peel behind the curtain of who that person was off the court. We see who the intense, funny guy he is, you know, at times on the court, but we don't see the charismatic dude he is off the court. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
I really hope that before his time on Earth comes to a close, that Pop will sit for a real in-depth, like, give me a 10-part documentary on Greg Popovich and the Spurs. Like, I want it. I want the book. I want the doc. I want it all. He doesn't want it, but for the sake of history, Doc, please, Pop, please let us. All right, that's our show. We'll see you on Friday.